The purpose of this video is to look at the influences that are on lawmakers. Remember that Congress has the power to make laws. Congress is in the legislative branch, and they have legislative power to make laws. Congress is a bicameral legislature. So within Congress, there are two different groups, the Senate and the House of Representatives. That's what makes it a bicameral legislature, because there are two different parts or two different chambers within the legislature, within Congress. We are going to quickly look at how a bill becomes a law. When a bill wants to become a law, the first step is to be introduced in either the House or the Senate. After it's introduced, it will go into committee. So if it's introduced in the House of Representatives, then committees in the House of Representatives will take a look at it, and they'll meet about it and discuss it and debate and research and figure out all of the details and clauses that go into the bill. If it goes past the committee, and most bills do not, then it goes onto the floor of the House. So if it was introduced in the House and it went through the committees of the House, now it's going to be debated on the floor of the House. If it's debated and voted on, and it's voted yes, it will continue, then it goes through the whole process again in the Senate. So it will be introduced in the Senate, go through Senate committees with meetings and hearings and debates and discussions and research. If it goes through the Senate committee, then it's debated and amended. And then if it passes both the House and the Senate, it goes on to final approval by the president. If the president approves, he signs the law. If the president does not approve, he can veto the law. If the bill goes through the House of Representatives and is passed, goes through the Senate and is passed, and it's signed by the president, then it becomes a law. It is a very long process. It takes a while for a bill to become a law, and most bills do not become laws. Congressmen represent their constituents. So remember that there are two senators in every state. So the state of Virginia has two senators representing it in the Senate and Congress. And there are 435 representatives in America because there are 435 districts. So in Virginia, you can see on this map that there are 11 districts in Virginia. Your representative in the House of Representatives is Representative Rob Whitman. He represents the 1st District, which is where you live in Hanover. So whenever Rob Whitman is making decisions as a congressman, he is thinking about the constituents that he represents. Congressmen are influenced by a lot of different groups and people. So here we have the 3 people that represent you in Congress, the 2 senators, Senator Tim Kaine and Senator Mark Warner, and then your 1 representative, Rob Whitman. They are influenced by constituents, which includes you because they represent you in Congress. But they're not only influenced by their constituents. They're also influenced by the president, political parties, political action committees, and lobbyists. All 5 of these groups are constantly influencing lawmakers and helping them determine how they vote on bills. We're going to look first at how constituents influence lawmakers. A constituent is a person who's represented by somebody in Congress. So again, you are a constituent of Senators Kaine and Warner because they both represent the entire state of Virginia. So everybody who lives and works in Virginia is a constituent of Kaine and Warner. Representative Whitman represents the 1st District in Virginia, so you are a constituent of him as well. Constituents have a right to reach out to their representatives, write them letters, write them emails, discuss things with them, help them determine new ideas for bills, tell them how they feel about bills that are going through Congress, and you also can vote for them when it's time for them to go up for election. So as a constituent, you can communicate with them and discuss with them your ideas, and you can also approve or disapprove of them based on how you vote. Because of that, politicians and congressmen are listening to their constituents to try to figure out which way to vote on certain bills. On your notes, fill in that constituents vote for representatives and can petition them or discuss things with them. Next, we're going to look at political action committees. We have heard of political action committees before. We learned about them when we were learning about political parties. Political action committees raise money to help candidates get elected. Every candidate, every politician accepts money from political action committees, or at least almost everyone. And it's a normal part of campaigning to accept this money, because remember that campaigning costs a lot of money. Tim Kaine, when he was running for election, he accepted money from political action committees. He accepted a total of $193,000 between 2019 and 2020, and he specifically accepted $2,500 from the National Pork Producers Council. That probably doesn't sound important, but what it means is that they have given him money to try to get him elected, and they are hopefully expecting that if a law comes in front of him that has something to do with pork, he's going to vote the way that they want him to vote, because they have given him money and helped him win his campaign. Senator Warner accepted $2,500,000, and he accepted money from places like PACs like AT&T and Verizon. He accepted $3,500 from the AT&T PAC and $10,000 from the Verizon PAC. So again, when a bill comes in front of him, if it has something to do with communications or electronics, something to do with something that might affect AT&T or Verizon, he's going to take into consideration and be influenced by the fact that they have given him money to help him get elected. And then the same for Representative Whitman. He accepted $700,000 in PAC money when he was going through election 2019-2020. And one of those was Nestle Purina Pet Care PAC. He accepted $500 from them. So same thing as the other two. If there's a bill that comes in front of him and it has something that might impact Nestle Purina Pet Care, he's going to listen to them and take into consideration what they want him to do, because they are willing to give him money to be elected. On your notes, fill in that political action committees raise money to help politicians and congressmen win elections, and that is a big influence on how they vote. Next, we're going to look at lobbyists. A lobbyist is a person who advocates for legislators to either pass or defeat legislation on behalf of an organization or group. So lobbyists attempt to sway the decisions of politicians by providing them with information they may not have access to in the form of graphs and charts and polls and reports that are favorable to the interests the lobbyist represents. So typically, companies or organizations will hire lobbyists to go speak with congressmen about data that's going to be favorable for that company. In 2014, the top industries in lobbying were pharmaceutical and health products, business associations, insurance, computers and the internet, oil and gas, electric utilities, TV, movies and music, and securities and investments. So each of these industries paid lobbyists to go speak with congressmen and try to convince them how to vote that would be good for them and good for their business. So let's say Apple hired a lobbyist. That lobbyist could go to congressmen with facts and say, hey, look at this information and data. That is why you should vote yes or no on this bill. Lobbyists do not give money to congressmen. They only give facts and data and reports. On your notes, fill in that lobbyists persuade them on how to vote on bills. Next, we have political parties. Political parties expect loyalty from the people in their parties. Remember that if you are running for election, you are going to be supported most likely by a political party. And that political party is going to support you by giving you money to help you campaign, by endorsing you and saying that if you are in this political party, you should vote for this person. So when that person is elected and making laws in Congress, the political party that helped them get elected is going to expect them to make laws that the political party and the members of it wants. So the two senators that represent you right now, Senators Kaine and Warner, are both from the Democratic Party, and Representative Whitman is from the Republican Party. So if there's a bill that's going through Congress, if it's a bill that the Republican Party wants to get passed, then the Republican Party is going to tell Representative Whitman, vote yes on this bill because we helped you get elected. You represent our party in Congress, so you should vote the way that we have asked you to vote. And it's the same thing for Senators Kaine and Warner. If there is a bill that goes up that the Democratic Party wants it to pass, they're going to say the same thing to Kaine and Warner. Our party wants this bill to pass, so vote with the party. There, again, are four functions of political parties. They recruit and nominate candidates, they educate the electorate or the people about issues, they help candidates win, especially by endorsing them or giving them money, and they monitor the actions of office holders. So if a congressman is not following what the political party wants, it's possible that they don't help that congressman win the next election and that they don't nominate that person as a candidate. On your notes, fill in that political parties expect loyalty and want them to vote how they want them to vote. Next, we're going to look at the president. The president can sign or veto legislation. So when it goes through the House of Representatives and the Senate, if it passes both parts of the bicameral legislature, it goes to the president's desk. And if he signs it, it becomes a law. And if he vetoes it, it does not become a law. So let's say there was a legislation that went through the House of Representatives and it passed, and then it went to the Senate and it passed the Senate. But the president at the White House says, I won't sign it unless you include this thing or that thing. That is going to influence the congressman. If they want it to pass, they're going to try to include what the president wants them to include because he has the power to either sign it and make it a law or veto it and make it harder for it to become a law. The president has major influence on what goes into the bills that are going through Congress. So on your last one, fill in that the president tells them whether they will sign or veto the bill. For the last part of the video, we're going to look at a hypothetical bill. And let's say that this is a bill that is going through Congress, that all cell phones should be free. I'm going to show you how these 5 groups that influence congressmen can often make it challenging for congressmen to figure out how to vote on legislation. So if this is a bill, let's say that the constituents of the congressman say, we want free cell phones. They're saying, we want cell phones to be free. We like this bill. You should vote yes on this bill, or we are not going to elect you next time you're up for election. At the same time, though, let's say that that congressman is represented by the AT&T PAC, and the AT&T Political Action Committee is saying, if you vote for this law, we're going to give our money to another candidate next time because they don't want free cell phones. They want to make money off of cell phones. So now we have 2 different groups trying to influence this congressman in 2 very different ways. Let's say also that they run into the lobbyist for Verizon. And the Verizon lobbyist gives them a document that has graphs and charts and all this information on why this bill would be bad for the economy. So now you have a 3rd group that's trying to influence the congressman and get him to vote a specific way. Then let's say that the political party that the congressman belongs to says that our party believes all cell phones should be free, so we expect you to vote yes. And then at the same time, the president is saying that if this bill passes Congress and comes to my desk, I'm going to veto it. Congressmen are listening to all 5 of these groups all at the same time when deciding how they're going to vote on a bill. They know that they represent their constituents, so they should follow what their constituents want. But they also know that if they don't follow what the PACs who have donated to them want, they might not get that money again. They also know that the lobbyists are going to be providing a lot of detailed information and information that includes data that's going to help them determine how to vote. They also know that their political party is going to be talking to them and giving them how they want their political party members to vote. And then they also know that there's a chance that if the president doesn't like it, it gets vetoed. So they should also need to listen to the president. All 5 of these groups are influencing congressmen at the same time and trying to get them to vote the way that they want them to vote. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.